An NBA insider just gave us a shocking Rockets trade update with a new trade proposal that has the Rockets landing an all-star point guard. Is this trade worth it? What are the details behind it? We give you those answers right here, right now on Rockets Digest. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you hanging out with us and tuning in to today's show. We've got lots to talk about on this trade front, but before that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. 100% free. Go down there. A little white button says subscribe. Click that. Boom. You're going to get your daily Rockets coverage dose right here on Rockets Digest. Houston has been in a pretty decent spot since their 0-2 start. Obviously losing in double OT to the Oklahoma City Thunder on banner night stunk. Then losing to Detroit right after that was horrible. You've been able to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Obviously, the Spurs game was an intriguing one. You lose by 11. I still think that this team is very good, and it runs through Alperen Şengün and Kevin Durant. That's legitimately what it does. However, I can't help but sit here and say the point guard identity is interesting. Now, Reed Sheppard has gotten better every single game, and I will admit that wholeheartedly. However, until I can see him as a formidable ball handler and a guy who can control the offense, I don't know what the ceiling of this team is. I still think it's high. For the expectations I had for this team going into the season saying, oh yeah, they're going to be a team that's going to compete for the title, I don't know if I can fully say that right now when I'm looking at the point guard situation in Houston. And so, what about this new trade idea? Bill Simmons floats Rockets trade idea to acquire championship-level point guard. This has been a trade that we have mentioned a couple times, especially in the offseason, one of which was when Fred VanVleet got hurt. It became more of a topic. But what's funny is Bill Simmons, before he gets into this trade, before they talk about it, he kind of quotes about how the assists for the Rockets are not doing well, which something I didn't really think about, but Fred VanVleet, being such a good ball handler and being such a good ball controller, did give the Rockets a lot of assists. I don't know if it's that important of a stat. Right now, the Rockets have about 25.9 assists per game. That's not terrible. It ranks them lower in the NBA for sure. However, the funny thing about this is Simmons was talking about how the Rockets, they're not great at assists. They need somebody who can control the ball. And yet the guy who he's proposing the Rockets go and land is on a team that has the third worst amount of assists. Like I'm a little confused in that, right? But either way, Reed Sheppard's been fantastic for the past 4 games. 21.8 minutes per game, 11.2 points per game. That's going up every single game. Rebounds and assists are just okay. The turnovers, the steals, they're just okay. Field goal percentage, three-point percentage, they're both going up. He's still very young at just 21 years old. And the Rockets do want to make sure he develops properly. But again, if you're in a championship organization, if you're fighting for a championship, do you trust a guy here trying to get minutes, trying to grow throughout the year, or do you feel it's time to make a move? That's ultimately the question that Bill Simmons answered for us. We go to a report. Charlie Baduni of Helly on Rocket saying, quote, "There's no better mock trade creator than the pod father, Bill Simmons. And on the most recent episode of the Bill Simmons podcast, he floated a trade idea that would have the Houston Rockets landing Boston Celtics guard Derrick White," end quote. I'm sure you're asking, okay, Derrick White's a great point guard, but what is the price? Well, let's start with what Bill Simmons actually said in his proposed trade. Quote, "Look, if Houston doesn't want to do that, then there's no trade. But I can think that's the price. They can turn Derrick White into Eason and that Phoenix pick. You're the Celtics. You kind of have to do that. I don't know how you say no to that. That's my price if I'm Boston," end quote. Bill Simmons is a Boston guy, so speaking in the Boston way and kind of towards the Celtics ideology, he believes that if Houston wants Derrick White, if Derrick White is on the market, the price is high. And so the trade that he suggested, in theory, is this. The Houston Rockets will receive Derrick White and Xavier Tillman. The Boston Celtics will receive Fred VanVleet, Tari Eason, and that 2027 first-round pick from Phoenix that he mentioned. And so I'm not going to say my opinion just yet, but I want to ask you the question, would you make this trade? Again, you get Derrick White, you get Xavier Tillman, you give up Fred VanVleet, you give up Tari Eason, and you get a 2027 first round, you give up a 2027 first round pick as well. If you make this trade, type T for trade. If you would not make this trade, then I want you to type P for pass. Let me know in the comment section. I don't know if I'm making this for a couple of different reasons. You're trying to build a dynasty squad, right? That is the plan. Derrick White is a very good basketball player. Do not get me wrong. But am I trading away Tari Eason and Fred VanVleet, who has an under contract next year? I mean, Tari, at least he's he's a restricted free agent this upcoming offseason, so the potential for him to leave is there. You're also giving up a first-round pick for a guy who's averaging 15 points per game. I know the Celtics are not good. I understand that, but I don't see Derrick White as this amazing top-tier player. Does he have some amazing top-tier games? 1,000%, and I think he would have a lot more of those on the Rockets. Does that mean the Rockets should pay the bank and go out there and get him? No. Tari has been great. I know he's been up and down, but he has had some very good games. And I don't see that being something the Rockets would want to pull off right now. Listen, Derrick and his field goal percentage are what worries me. He, in so many aspects in my mind, is a fit for the Rockets because he has that AAU type, I'm going to throw up 50 shots a game, and if 20 go in, that means I scored 40 points. Great. We have enough of those mindsets. 32.8 minutes per game, you're averaging 14.9. I'm going to take Reed Sheppard over that. I am. Funny enough, his co-host kind of had the same reaction. He said this: Tari Eason, that's a triple-double win for Boston. Are you kidding me? That 2027 first-round pick and Tari Eason, respectively, get the explicitive out of here. That's outrageous. And that's where I kind of have to agree. This trade is interesting, and I do think that this is something that would help out the Rockets, maybe in the short term, because I do see Derrick White as a good player. I think he can have some very good games. But for what Reed Sheppard is giving you, for what this team is looking at doing, I don't want to give up Tari Eason and that first-round pick. But he's getting better every game. I think that in some aspects, he's kind of learning a different role this season with the new aspect of Kevin Durant in there. In my mind right now, if you're talking about playoff starting roster, I think Tari is there. I think he is the sixth best player on this team. I really, really do. Maybe the fifth. Maybe the fifth best player on this team. And you obviously have the top four of Jabari, Amen, Alperen, and KD. But past that, is it Steven Adams? I don't think so. Is it Reed? I don't think so. Is it Joshua Okogie? No. I think the fifth best player is Tari Eason. You could not trade your fifth best player, your main point guard, in a first-round pick for a point guard who's averaging 4 more points than Reed Sheppard, who's playing 10 more minutes. I understand their stipulations. I get it. I 100% understand that. I don't see this being a logistical trade for the Rockets whatsoever. You can get a point guard. That's great. Fantastic. But it's not what's going to help this squad overall. And in my mind, it's something that is just not needed. It's really not needed when you have a guy in Reed Sheppard that is getting better and better every game. We've talked about Reed kind of ad nauseum and how important he is to this squad. And did he start off slow? For sure. But that three-point percentage is going up. That field goal percentage is going up. His minutes are going up. In some ways, I think at this point, it's just a matter of time until he gets his start. Ime Udoka at this point is playing Joshua Okogie at the start, but then he's saying, all right, Reed Sheppard, guess what, buddy? You're going to play for more minutes, though. And so, got a game tonight? Maybe he starts. We'll see. I doubt it, but I think he's getting closer and closer to that point where he could pick up that starting role. Maybe if you want to keep Amen at the 1, Reed was a 2 in Kentucky. Like, you can play him at the shooting guard role for a little bit. You can play the point guard role. I don't know what the end goal is for Amen. I think they want him as a point guard. So at this point, because of the injury to Fred VanVleet, I'm just keeping him at that 1. But there's just not a fluid offense at times. And I think that's the thing that have most people concerned. So again, let me know your thoughts on this trade. Reed Sheppard, is he good enough? Do you think they need Derrick White? If they do, is Tari Eason and Fred VanVleet in the first-round pick even worth that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But that's what we got for you today on Rockets Digest. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Peace out, guys.